So do you also want to create the Google Calendar meetings within seconds? Then this video is definitely for you. So hello all, welcome back to Pabbly Connect, and in this video we are going to understand how to create Google Calendar meetings from Trello cards automatically. So over here I am running a digital marketing agency and we regularly schedule client calls, and to do this we simply create a new card on our Trello. So now what I want is that once I create a new card on my Trello automatically, using that same details, a new event should be created or a meeting should be created in my Google Calendar automatically. So to do this, we are simply going to create a connection between Trello and Google Calendar, and to create this connection without knowing any programming or coding language, we are going to use Pabbly Connect. It is an amazing automation software. So if you also want to create this amazing automation for your own business, then for that you have to come with me towards my screen. Welcome to my screen everyone. In this video I'll show you how to automatically create Google Calendar event from Trello cards. So let's say you manage client projects or team check-ins in Trello. So whenever a new card is created under the list, this consultant, which is the client consultations, this automation picks up the details like the title, date, time, and schedules a Google Calendar event for the same. It is perfect way to streamline scheduling and make sure nothing slips through the crack. So I have already built this automation, and first I'm just going to show you the proper working of this automation. For that I'm just going to add a card right over here, and I'm just going to enter the title, and now I'm just going to open this card, and now in this card I'm just going to enter some more details like the date and time. Alright, so I'm just going to open this card and I'm just going to select the start date right over here. Let's say for the start date I'm just going to keep it as 28th, which is Saturday, and end date as 28th only. So I'm just going to enter 28, and now for the due time I'm just going to keep it as, let's say, 12 p.m. So I'm just going to enter 12 p.m. So as you can see, they've successfully kept it as this, and I'm just going to click on this save. So yes, you can see onboarding call Vision Craft Studio, and this is the date and the time is 12 p.m. So yes, now what is going to happen is that automatically on this date at 12, a client call will be scheduled right over here in my Google Calendar. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to wait for a few seconds, and then I'm just going to refresh the calendar right over here to check for the new client schedule call on 28th of June, which is Saturday. So now let's check it. For that I'm just going to open my Google Calendar, and over here you're going to see that on 28th of June a meeting has been scheduled. You can see the same title, same date, and the same time, which is 12 p.m. and the starting is 11 a.m. So yes, with this I've successfully shown you the proper working of this automation, and now we are just going to learn how we can build this automation. So over here I'm running a digital marketing agency, and we regularly schedule client calls using Trello. Alright, so what I do is I simply add a card of a new client call, and automatically the event of the same gets created in my Google Calendar so that my team can review it and further work accordingly on the calls. So yes, if you run a real estate agency, this workflow can be really helpful for you, that you can simply schedule the client meetings in your Trello, and automatically on Google Calendar it will be created. So yes, now let's learn how to do this. For that you have to open a new tab, and you have to look for the landing page of Pabbly Connect simply by searching pabbly.com/connect in my browser. And after opening the landing page of Pabbly Connect, and over here we're just going to get two options. One is sign in, and the another one is sign up for free. So if you're a new user, you can click on this sign up for free, and you're going to get 100 of tasks free every month to explore the application. But over here I'm an existing user, so I'm simply going to click on this button which says sign in, and once I'm just going to click on this sign in, it is opening all Pabbly apps, and over here you're going to see all the tools and applications offered by Pabbly. But in today's video we are going to use Pabbly Connect because we are connecting different applications. So I'm simply going to click on this access now right over here to access my Pabbly Connects account, and once I'm just going to click on this access now, it is going to open the dashboard of my Pabbly Connects account. And to get started we simply have to click on this button which says create workflow, and now it is asking me for the workflow name and the folder I want to save the workflow in. So over here on my dashboard you can see multiple folders which I have already created, in which I save my workflows. So if you also want to create a new folder, you can go towards this create new folder button and create your own. I've already created mine, so I'm just going to save my workflow in one of these only, which is automations, and now I'm just going to name my workflow as this create Google Calendar meetings from Trello cards, and then we are simply going to click on this button which says create, and once I'm just going to click on this create, it is going to open the most important window of our automation, which is our workflow window. So this is the most important window because we have trigger and action in this. Trigger and actions are the two main principles on which our workflow is going to run. Trigger means when this happens, and action means do this. So by this, you can understand that the actions are response towards the commands given by our trigger. And that's the particular reason that we can have only a single trigger but multiple actions following the commands of our trigger in a particular workflow. And to get started, I'm simply going to select my trigger application, which is Trello. So I'm just going to search for Trello right over here and select it. And now for the trigger event, I'm just going to select it as new card and click on this button which says connect. And now it's saying add a new connection or select an existing connection. So if you have already connected your Trello account with your Pabbly Connect's workflow, you can simply click on this button which says select existing connection and then save. But if you haven't, you have to follow me, click on add a new connection, and now it's asking me for the username, API key and token. And to get all of these three, what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to open my Trello account, and now from here first we're just going to get the username. I'm just going to go towards my profile, and then I'm just going to go towards this profile and visibility, and over here going to see that this is my username. So I'm simply going to copy this username, and then I'm just going to paste it right over here in the username section. And now to get this API key, I'm simply going to click on this hyperlink which says developer key. So once I'm just going to click on this, you're going to see that this is the personal key. So I'm simply going to copy this personal key right from here, and then I'm just going to paste it right over here. And now to get this token, I'm just going to open this developer API key, and over here going to see the hyperlink to get the token. So I'm simply going to go towards this token right over here, and as you can see that it is asking me to select the account name and the username. So yes, this is my account only, so I'm just going to move on forward, and over here Pabbly is asking me for some permissions. So I'm simply going to click on this allow and give it all the permissions. So I'm simply going to click on this allow, and as you can see that my token has been generated. So I'm simply going to copy this token and paste it right over here. And after pasting all of these three, I'm simply going to click on this button which says save. And with this, we have successfully connected our Trello account with our Pabbly Connect's workflow. And now it's asking me to select the board. So over here, the name of my board is, as you can see, I'm just going to show you my board name, which is Client Consultations. So I'm just going to select the same, which is Client Consultations. And now for the list, I'm just going to select it as scheduled meeting. And now I'm just going to click on this save and send as request. And now it is saying waiting for a webhook response. And in the notes, it is saying do a test submission / record. So in order to capture this webhook response, I have to do a test submission. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to open my Trello, and I'm just going to add a card right over here. All right, so to add a card, I'm just going to click on this button which says add a card. And over here, I'm just going to enter the title, which is this social media strategy call with Bella Beauty. And I'm just going to add this card. So as you can see that I've successfully added this card, and now I'm just going to open my workflow. And over here, Pabbly is going to capture the response for the same card which we added right over here. All right, so I'm just going to wait for a few seconds. And as you can see that Pabbly has successfully captured the response for the same. Over here, going to see the card text is social media strategy call with Bella Beauty. But not only the title, I want the start date and time too. In order to create a Google Calendar event, we require date and time, right? So what I'm just going to do is first, I'm just going to add a filter condition right over here in my workflow. So you must be wondering, why are we going to add the filter condition? So over here, going to see that in the important note, it has clearly mentioned that please follow these steps below. Use an action of filter by Pabbly immediately after the trigger. Select the label as this from the trigger response and select the filter type as equals to, and for the field value, enter this. All right, so what happens is that let's say I'm just going to update a card right over here, then only it is going to capture the response. But I only want to capture the response and move forward for action card created. So when a new card is created, then only I want my workflow to move on further, not on updating the card details, right? So that's the reason that we are just going to add a filter condition right over here. So I'm just going to use a filter by Pabbly. It is a feature by Pabbly which helps you to add conditions in your workflow. Now for the action event, I'm just going to select it as filter values and click on this connect. So it has clearly mentioned that for the label, we have to select this, which is, I'm just going to show it to you once again, which is this, which says action display translation key. So I'm just going to simply select this label, which is action display translation key. So I'm just going to look for the same first right over here. So I'm just going to search for the same right over here. And as you can see, action display translation key. So I'm simply going to select it. And now for the filter type, it has clearly mentioned to select it as equals to. And now for the value, it has said to enter this action card created. And now I'm just going to click on this save and send test request. And as you can see, success condition is true. So yes, with this, we have successfully added the filter condition. And now on updating a new Trello card, this workflow is not going to move on further. Now I'm just going to move on forward. I'm just going to capture the details of the date and time too, right? But before doing that, what I'm just going to do is first I'm just going to add a delay right over here in this workflow, because we are not going to directly enter the date and time. We are just going to require some amount of time to enter the date and time, right? So I'm just going to add a delay right over here in this workflow. For that, I'm just going to add another action step. For the action application, I'm simply going to select a feature by Pabbly once again, which is delay by Pabbly. For the action event, I'm just going to select add time delay and click on this connect. Now I'm just going to add a delay of 2 minutes right over here till my user gets the time to fill in the time in the Trello card. Alright, so for that, I'm just going to simply select delay for right over here. For the until, I'm just going to select minutes, and I'm just going to delay this workflow for 2 minutes. So I'm just going to do all of this and click on this save and send as request, and noticing delayed for 2 minutes success. Alright, so now after doing this, I'm just going to add the time. For that, I'm just going to add another action step, and now for the action application, I'm simply going to select it as Trello once again. But this time for the action event, I'm just going to simply select it as get card details. So I'm just going to search for it and select it. But before capturing the details of the same, I first have to add the details right over here. So I'm just going to edit the card, and over here I'm just going to edit the date and time. For that, I'm just going to go to this date section, and over here I'm just going to first select the start date. Alright, we can't select the start time, but we can select the start date. So let's say I'm just going to keep the start date as 30th, and now for the due date, I'm just going to keep it as 30th only. For the time, I'm just going to keep it as 12 p.m. only, and I'm just going to click on this save. And as you can see, for 30th 12 p.m. we have successfully scheduled this. So I'm just going to open my workflow. For the action event, I'm just going to select it as get card. So I'm just going to select it and click on this connect. I have recently connected my Trello account, so I'm simply going to click on this select existing connection and then save. And yes, now it is asking me for the card ID, so I'm simply going to enter the card ID of this card right over here. But we're not going to enter it manually or by copy pasting it, but instead I'm just going to map it. So you must be wondering what is mapping. So mapping is a method by Pabbly which means inserting the data from the previous step. And as you know, our previous step was the trigger step, where we selected Trello as our trigger application. So we are simply going to map the details from the response of our trigger and the action application only. And as soon as we are just going to map these details, automatically my details will turn dynamic and change with every new response received. So I'm simply going to map this card ID right over here. So I'm just going to look for the card ID right over here, and as you can see the same, so I'm simply going to map this card ID and click on this save and send test request. And once I'm just going to click on this save and send test request, yes, you can see that it has given me the start date and the due date and time. So yes, now what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to create a Google Calendar event with these same details. But over here for the due date and time, it has given me the due date. But for the start, I haven't mentioned any clear time right over here. And as you can see that for the start, I haven't mentioned any time. So what happens is that my client calls are of 1 hour only. This is my specific use case, that my client calls are of 1 hour only. So if your client calls are of 2 hours or something like that, you have to do this accordingly. I'll show you what to do. So what I have to do is I'm simply going to add another action step, and now for the action application, I'm just going to use date time formatter, which is a feature by Pabbly. And for the action event, I'm just going to select it as add/subtract the time and click on this connect. So over here, as I mentioned that my client calls are of 1 hour only. So what I'm just going to do is from the due date and time, which I specifically mentioned, I'm just going to reduce 1 hour right over here, and it is going to respond me according to the same time which I want for the starting. All right. So if your client calls are usually of 2 hours or of 3 hours, so you have to enter the expressions accordingly. So first we simply have to map the date. So I'm simply going to map the due date right over here, and now in the expressions, I'm just going to keep it as -1 hour, because my client calls are of 1 hour only. So if I'm just going to minus the 1 hour from the due date and time, automatically the start date and time will be given to me. All right. So now after entering this expression, I'm just going to move on further. For the to format, I'm just going to keep it as this right over here. I'm just going to look for the same and select it. And now for the from format, I'm just going to keep it as this only. And I'm just going to move on forward and click on this save and send test request. And once I'm just going to click on this save and send test request, yes, you can see that we have successfully received the result, which is 1 hour before this due date. So once again, I'm just going to mention this is my specific use case, that I schedule the client calls of 1 hour only. If you schedule it for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, you have to enter the expression accordingly. So now we have successfully received the start date and time and the end date and time. And now we're just going to create a Google Calendar event. For that, I'm just going to add another action step. And now for the action application, I'm simply going to select it as as Google Calendar. And now for the action event, I'm just going to select it as create an event and click on this connect. Once again, it is asking me for the same. So if you have already connected your Google Calendar, you can go towards this, select existing connection and then save. But if you haven't, you have to go towards add a new connection, sign in with Google. Pabbly is going to ask you to select your Gmail account, with the help of which you're just going to connect your Google Calendar. And after selecting your Gmail account, Pabbly is going to ask you for some permissions. So you can give Pabbly all the permissions because your data is secure with Pabbly. I have already given Pabbly all the permissions. So what I can do is I can simply go towards this select existing connection and then save. And once you give all the permissions, your account will be connected, all right? And now it is asking me to select the calendar. So as you can see, the name of my calendar is Pabbly right over here. So I'm simply going to select my calendar, which is Pabbly. And now for the title, I'm simply going to map the title which we received from the response. So I'm just going to look for the title, which is the card text. So I'm just going to look for the card text right over here and I'm just going to simply map it. It is asking me for the description. So no, I'm not going to enter it. For the location, no, I'm not going to enter it. For the start date and time, we have received from the response of date time formatter. And now for the end date and time, we have received from the get a card action event. So I'm just going to simply map it. Now I'm just going to move on further. For the time zone, I'm just going to keep it as UTC right over here. So I'm just going to search for UTC and select it. For the visibility, I'm just going to keep it as public. Now it is asking me for the guest. So what you can do is you can simply enter the email address of the one who's going to attend this call or something like this right over here. All right. No, I don't want to do this. So I'm just going to move on further. Now it is asking me for many another details. So both of these details are not required. So I'm just going to leave it as blank and click on this blue button which says save and send test request. And once I'm just going to click on this save and send test request, yes, you can see that we have successfully received the positive response. So yes, you can see that with this we have successfully received a positive response that I've successfully created an event in my Google Calendar. So I'm just going to open my Google Calendar and as you can see, a new event has been created. You can see that with the same card text, same date and same time, a new event has been created in my Google Calendar too. So yes, with this we have successfully completed our workflow and now what is going to happen is that whenever we are just going to create a new card in our Trello card, automatically this workflow is going to get triggered and then further we are just going to create an event using the details of the card right over here in our Google Calendar. So yes, like I showed in the starting of this video, automatically all of this is going to happen in backend. We just have to create a new Trello card and wait for a few minutes and automatically the event will be created in my Google Calendar. All of this is going to happen in backend. We don't have to come back and again to our workflow to click on save and send test request. So yes, with this we have successfully completed this video and this workflow too. Now go try this amazing automation for your own business too, because right now we are offering a free trial of Pabbly Connect. And while trying, if you have any questions related to the video or the workflow, you can directly comment on this video. See you in the next video with many more automation tips, everyone. Thank you for watching. So not only these applications, but with the help of Pabbly Connect, you can connect many more applications. So now if you have any doubts, you can reach us at support@pabbly.com. If you have any queries, you can reach us at forum.pabbly.com. And if you have any pricing related issues, you can follow this URL. And now go try this amazing automation for your own business too, because right now we are offering a free trial of Pabbly Connect.